And this will be available to you also at the end of the webinar. We will do a little post-production and then post the link. So if you are not able to be on today, please know that the link will be sent to everybody and also via the community. And please, the PDF that you're about to see is also very shareable without audio, so please feel free to pass this along to others on your team as you share and brainstorm about the potential. So to really kick off National Public Gardens Week is an evolution. After 10 years of National Public Gardens Day, we did a lot of surveying and we came up with a lot of great feedback from you all about what we wanted the future to be. And a lot of it had to do with relevance, but it also had to do with morphing the time frame a little bit and also to provide more flexibility. So we also wanted to give you a call, a rallying cry that ties everything together and elevates this beyond what I casually referred to when I first started as kind of a Hallmark holiday. It's like, what is this about? Why are we doing this? And how do we help you leverage media? How do we help you leverage audience? Many of you do great promotions, but how can we go further? So National Public Gardens Week is now an extension. It now takes place the Monday after Mother's Day, and the 2019 and 2020 dates are posted on the bottom. The phrase that really I want to focus on and give a little bit of preamble to here in this webinar is about catalysts for change and resilience. And you're going to see resilience pop up a lot. And as we work towards this, we want to develop a tagline that really helps rally more partnership for National Public Gardens Week in terms of corporate support and other ways of leveraging and amplifying the message. So Public Gardens Grow Resilience is something that we hope that all gardens going into National Public Gardens Week will think of in terms of structuring their promotion. Again, we support you in the work that you do, and resilience has many different forms. There's individual resilience, community, and planetary resilience. And all the things that you do as public gardens really showcase what they all have in common is resilience. So we want gardens going into National Public Gardens Week to create activities that showcase the ways that people plus plants equal resilience. Oops. And so the next few slides, again, I'm going to go through them a little bit fast, but that's great because you can go back here and go back to this. A lot of this are things that you do at your own garden. You're already living and breathing that through programming or any interaction with your visitors. So I'm going to just showcase some of the different facets of resilience. And a lot of the themes are things that we want to see teased out in upcoming promotions. And you can take any which way facet you want. You have a whole week to do something. You can do something in one day. You can do something every day, a portion of that week. It's really up to you. You have some time to play with what you choose to do. So there's the personal resilience, obviously, how we build just stronger people, how the act of volunteering also builds resilience. And it also invites other groups, people that are needing that social interaction. They need that structure. And you can identify many audiences in your community that may be already volunteering with you. There's also, of course, as you know, a great place to meet up for all kinds of things. They're families and generational. You're very familiar with all of that. From a planetary resilience, there's a couple of different facets. Obviously, sustainability efforts. For those who have been with National Public Gardens Day at its inception with the Rainbird, they were all about water conservation. So we're expanding that, of course, to all the things that public gardens showcase in terms of sustainability. Sustainability in terms of food. A lot of people doing food things, so it's a great opportunity to showcase food as resilience and how it builds that. Conservation and collection through your collections and conservation programs. Again, a great way to showcase that. And then, of course, climate impacts gardens and you, for those who are being very at the forefront of showcasing examples of climate impacts on today, tomorrow, and beyond, and the implications of that and what they can do to help. Part two of this is about in conjunction with whatever, again, a lot of development people haven't traditionally necessarily been involved with National Public Gardens Day. It's Mother's Day weekend. There's a lot going on. They're at the end of the year or beginning of the year, and typically there's other things going on. We're offering you an opportunity to kind of do something that might be something you do as a companion to your fundraising programs, but to do it in conjunction with National Public Gardens Week, and do it in conjunction with all the gardens across the country so that we can elevate and showcase that work, and public gardens building resilience for themselves. To that end, we as an association are using the platform that we contracted with about a year ago with MobileCause to help with our own fundraising at the conference, and of course beyond. And because of our technological capability, we thought, how can we parlay this and use this as an opportunity for gardens to explore mobile fundraising? And I was shocked at the summer conference when I did a quick poll at our community meeting and realized that the majority of the people in the room hadn't really explored this before. So it was a great opportunity to start to work with this tool a little bit more. And I would like to unmute Matt for a minute and introduce Matt Wagner, who I work with on the MobileCause Affinity Partnership. Go ahead, Matt.
Hi, thank you very much for having us.
You're very welcome. Matt, and you see that slide, Christy Noel, she is working on the technical end, and she and her team are also going to be working later on as we are crafting the elements of people's campaigns, and helping in support. And she'll be part of, she and her team will be part of webinars 2 and 3. But anyway, it's giving us a lot of great options that you can use part of. We're all together on one umbrella in terms of having a MyGarden campaign. And we would all be under one umbrella. We give it one name, and if you're familiar with crowdfunding and that platform, we are as gardens, or as they say in this nomenclature, teams, sign up. You'll have a unique campaign code word that is used for text to give, but you'll also have links that will drive people to a site to make a donation on behalf of specifically for your garden. So again, we're going to get more into detail a little bit later, but this is generally the overview. You're looking at screenshots of actually what it looks like live on our current campaign platform. And Bellevue was an early adopter, and they are part of my guinea pig team. There's about 6 gardens that have signed on early, and they're exploring different parts of it. So for those of you who are looking, who want reasons to kind of jump into the pool, there are things that you know intuitively that this is good for. And I just wanted to reiterate this in one slide so that you can go back and think about it. It's giving you really a no-risk, real campaign situation with real results. You can be raising money. You can test drive it. You're using a platform that isn't costing you money to contract for it. Again, some people may be wanting to use this for specific reasons, different strategies. It may be a way to reach new people, or it may be something ancillary to your other fundraising campaigns. Maybe there's a specific appeal you want to call attention to, and a flash campaign can be a perfect vehicle for that. There's staff time involved. There is an investment of your time to think about your appeal. It is your campaign, ultimately. And there's other people raising funds with you. I mean, you're not alone. We're going to be doing a lot of these things together. There's going to be some national traction for this. And again, if you're building a case to add this technology tool to your fundraising toolbox, if you're thinking about getting your own system, gives you a lot more flexibility, I'll say. And in doing this particular in signing on in this particular campaign, it's going to give you a real feel for the drive. and then you can also see the potential for you to customize your own product. This the third section is, okay, so what do I have to do? What is it all about? What are the steps? So one of you at your organization essentially begins the process. You set up a special message and you personalize the page, and so that when when whoever your potential donors are responding, they know it's your garden's page. And there's things you can and can't do because we have some other architecture up on the top. But Tucson had a photo with their logo embedded on that, and that's one of the tip and trick we're going to be talking about in a future webinar. There's a unique keyword that's assigned to you. This becomes something that you push out for to your potential donors to take action. This is a text to give. But you'll also get links here as you set up your various forms that allow you to actually put it on your website, or any social media. You've got a lot of different options that you can drive people to forms to take action. I'm going through this really fast, but as we get into there's more detail behind this. I just don't want to dive too deep at this moment. Part of your participation is you actively agree to promote the campaign between these dates, and that because all gifts are coming through our portal, we need to reconcile and transact that and reconcile it and disperse funds. So just so you're understanding it, we have one merchant portal here. We are giving you the opportunity to use our merchant portal to process that. And so the gifts come through us. And I'll explain some of the implications of that in the next section of this webinar. But it just gives us time to wrap up the campaign, reconcile, and disperse the funds back to you. And you get all of the information for donors, which is great. Because when you do things like Facebook fundraising, sometimes it takes a while, or maybe not at all, to be able to get that donor information. One great thing about what I've enjoyed about the summer fundraising campaign, and all campaigns I've run through MobileCause this year, has been many systems just allow you to default with the processing fee. When a donor wants to make a selected gift amount, the system will opt in the processing fee unless you want to not click that. But it allows the donor to cover your processing fee, so you don't have to. And I will say that a high percentage of donors over the summer just left that stat. They didn't remove that from their donation. One big thing that came out in my summer and fall brainstorming phone calls was, whose gift is it? Who's receiving? How is that happening? And I really appreciated all of the feedback I got from you all, because you were all really concerned about stewardship, as you should be. So I wanted to take I wanted to take a lot of extra time to work through some of those ramifications on our end. But because we are the recipient of the funds, the system will tax receipt the donor, and the language has been vetted that you see here. We act kind of in a donor advised fund capacity. We're the legal recipient of the gift. We channel it to the designated beneficiary and issue the receipt. But honestly, these are your donors. It's in your interest to steward these donors beyond the campaign as yours. So they receive the tax satisfaction from us, but they receive the donor satisfaction from you, I guess, is the easiest way to classify that. And this email gets generated completely, and then there's a PDF at the end so that they can actually they can actually print out a more formalized document. The cost to participate, actually, so there's no front-end cost, but because we do have some administrative back-end that we need to cover, And because it's National Public Gardens Week, we want to be able to put out as much amplitude as possible. There's no upfront cost. However, for the monies that you do raise, we do ask that you as a garden, as the cost of doing business, agree to cover the 2.5% processing fee, which if the donors are paying for it, great. They're paying it for you. And then 10% of the funds raised from your garden in this campaign to support a lot of the administration for us to help with all the setup, disbursement, and other administrative costs. So for purposes of receiving, 100% of the donor's gift is considered tax deductible, and you maybe saw that in the last slide. On the right is just a sample of a screenshot where I've had to kind of trick out the donation form because we're under one large architecture. The donation form can't look like your garden's donation form. So I've had to figure out a way for donors to feel assured that they are giving to the garden that they intend to direct their gift to. So there's a pull-down menu as each garden signs up. We can add these as options, and I will alphabetize all of those so people can pull down and select that. There's a number of different fail-safes in the back end of this, so I will ultimately be able to trace the majority, if not 100% of those funds back to your garden. So we're leaving very little room for questioning kind of the donor's intent for that. I have a question in the queue. Is there a list of former participating gardens and how much they raised? Chelsea, no, this is our first year of doing that. So this is something that we are. I have had two campaigns run through this. One was a $10,000 campaign that was run during the course of the week of conference to raise scholarship funding. Very specific appeal, very warm reception, and what I thought was a very effective campaign. Those are the basics of what is basically involved in being a team that is part of the My Garden campaign. Really what the next step would be for your garden is to sign yourself up as a primary contact or assign a team captain so that they can begin kind of the email process. I'm going to toggle to the next slide briefly and then come back to this slide. Part of my 6 gardens that signed on early started to get some email communication. So I want you to be a little bit aware of what happens when you agree to sign up. And there's a sign up form. By the way, this was a link. So in the attachment, you can sign up. And I will be able to send that out to you as well under separate cover. MobileCause sends a response, some automated responses as we approve your process and go live. One of the things I learned is that quarantine and spam can sometimes capture that, and so it's really important in the early stages if you sign up to make sure you should be getting something pretty quickly, acknowledging your sign up action. You need to get that follow-up email because the link to confirm or to move forward is with you. If you're not hearing that, we can work on it on the back end, but first step would be check your spam and quarantine. Use MobileCause as an approved sender just so that it doesn't get caught. So when a team, and there's some reasons they go through this. One important thing is if we're using crowdfunding and you have someone in your community that wants to raise money for your garden and they sign up and they're not necessarily vetted, I can stop that from being legitimized. Or we can make sure that everyone that is on your team is approved. It's interesting though because the funds will still come through us, so it's still your funds. I have a question from Rob. Will all donor contact info email address be provided to us? Yes. Everything but credit card information. So really the first step is once I approve the first person as the team captain who is um, authorized to edit your page and begin to add things, as fundraisers are approved by this office, you're good to start building your page. So again, this is just a reference document for you. At this point, I think I would like to open up for questions. Again, this is a real overview session. There's a lot more to be discussed, 2 and 3, and I encourage you all, even if you are interested, but you're not 100% committed, sign up anyway and explore this. If you come to me, in a month or two and you say, this is just not for us, or we've taken another turn, that's fine. We can remove your team from the whole roster of that. The important thing I want you to do is to feel comfortable about what it is and give you some opportunity to test out some tools. I will open up the Mike, we have a question. Can you provide that link for signing up? Yes, I will. And you do all receive information so you can follow up with individual donors. We talked a little bit about what if you get $1,000 gift? Wouldn't you want to say something to them sooner than later? Wouldn't that be nice? The answer is I don't want to answer that right now, because if I have 40 to 50 gardens all doing fundraising in 1 week and we're getting a lot of volume, being able to channel all of that is interesting. Now, I will say you have the ability to receive an automated email when someone makes a gift. For the team captain, a gift has been made. I'm going to be receiving that. If I see something, or our team sees something really big, we may be forwarding that on to you. So you might be able to steward that. Again, we're playing around with what we can and can't do. So we think we've hit the majority of logistical stewardship. My important thing is donors who are responding know that they're giving to your garden. And that was my ultimate goal, and that they understand the stewardship, and that you're receiving information, and they're getting properly and promptly acknowledged, at least for their gift. I have a question from Stephanie. Are we limited to the dates of the campaign, and can we begin fundraising sooner? A little bit reluctant to kind of let that out of the gate. It is live the minute you sign up the campaign, but we've toyed with that a little bit. It would be preferable that we all do it during the week. I guess the answer is we've thought about it. I'm trying to find if there's a big downside to it, or if there are any issues with that. You're all able to unmute yourselves, I believe, and talk if you wish to debate among yourselves on that. Okay. Catherine? All right. Okay. I'm not hearing any other person unmute. I believe there's some questions here. Okay. Does the platform allow us to add video, Rebecca? Yes. I believe it. I believe it can. I'm going to also unmute Matt so he can jump in and answer any questions with me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have a YouTube channel or a Vimeo channel, I would highly recommend doing that. The adoption rate is much higher for your donors, plus they feel more in tune with what your garden's about. So yes, we can do that.
Okay. I am unmuting everybody, so if you want to actively mute yourselves again, please do so. I just didn't want to mute you inadvertently. So what PR and marketing is the association planning to do in support of this? We're doing as much as we can. We don't have a lot of major advertising dollars. We do have a lot of regional advertising. Anytime we can get a critical mass in your region or community, this is where we want to apply our limited funds to be able to do that. My long-term goal is to create a lot of corporate partnership down the road that really syncs up with the resilience goal, and to kind of create something larger than the sum of its parts, which includes a lot of additional funding we can leverage for advertising. So I'll be honest with you, at this point, we're still building that larger presence, but we have a lot more. We do have some funding partners this year with the U.S. Forest Service. So any of you working with the Forest Service, this is a great moment for synergy, except for right now with the government. But there's also Plant Snap, which is sort of being tested in a few markets, which is not necessarily cash in the door for advertising, but they're going to be rolling out a pilot in some of our participating gardens on building a plant database so that your visitors can take photos in the garden and have those identified. A lot more on that, very ancillary to your question, but again, thinking a little bit longer term with how we really amplify National Public Gardens Week, and this whole reboot has taken a little time to get the partners on board. Yes, Abigail, you can access the recording of this webinar afterwards. After we wrap this up, we'll have a link, and I'll send this out to all registrants as well. If we have limited IT support in terms of tweaking our websites, will that hamper our fundraising? John, no. We're here to help, and MobileCause is here to help. So Matt, do you want to mention that?
Yeah, with the MyGarden campaign for your websites, they would be able to, you could put a link on that or an embed code if you needed for people to redirect them to the site, and we can supply that easily for your team.
Okay. Rebecca also wrote, does the platform support donorship levels, for instance, $100 for a t-shirt, etc.? That's a good question, Matt. I think under the major architecture of the My Garden campaign, there may not be that opportunity to go to drive particular levels. When you see the donation form, I have to set some suggested numbers that are going to be universal. Now, having said that, there's also an opportunity, because we're on crowdfunding, team members, when you use the opportunity for individual, like if you had a number of volunteers who said, yeah, I want to help you raise that, my personal goal is $250 and I'm raising money for your garden and help me in my cause. There might be some creative ways of going about driving funds to a particular, team member to inspire a certain activated premium. Does that make sense?
And Joan, this is Matt. You can have, they can put that data on there if they wanted to in a text format, like on there, or use a drop down. So we can be really flexible with each of your gardens and how unique they want to set that up on there. So we can definitely talk about that in the second and third webinars, or a one-off situation if need be.
Okay. I just want to remind you, if you are not actively participating, you may have been unmuted. Just check your mute if you don't plan to speak, so we can eliminate some of the background noise. I just wanted to open the floor up for anyone to have access to ask a question verbally. Thank you. I'm going to go back to the original question about the limiting the dates of the campaign, and can you begin fundraising sooner? I wanted to add to that there is the ability to market your campaign and build momentum for the campaign, so that the launch of the campaign, you've got a state of readiness there that people are ready to act. Any additional thoughts on that?
That's you.
Okay. Okay, I believe the questions in the queue seem to be answered. Britt, you asked how quickly could we utilize and go live with MyGarden. Again, I sort of answered that in terms of the go live. Essentially, some of the beauty of this is that you as the garden can work on crafting everything in advance. And so essentially, by the time it's ready to roll, you are teeing it up on your end, but the links and the pages are all set. One thing you might utilize is the ability for people, if you're utilizing other people to help you in your goal. Some gardens just want one voice, one portal, and some may want multiple people or multiple ways of driving donations. And those could all be set up in advance over the next several months, right up until go live time. Okay. Amber wrote, can you show an example of what it text? Oops. And then it went out. I was reading and then it queued down of what a text looks like going out to visitors. Well, there's two answers to that, Amber. One is having the MobileCause tool allows me, if I were the person doing my own campaign, to push out notifications and texts. So this is not something that I can offer multiple gardens the ability to do. So outbound texts are not something that the gardens are going to be able to do in this campaign because of the way it's all being funneled through here. That being said, that we have I had a screenshot. It would take me a while to pull up, but when people activate that MyGarden 12 and they do that and they add their name and the amount, they get an auto reply, and essentially it says thanks for your pledge to APGA to complete the gift. Some of it is very boilerplate that is controlled by MobileCause, but the very next click to complete their pledge then gives them the opportunity to reaffirm, yes, I'm making this gift to X garden, and this is what I want to give, and this is what I want to do. Their very next screen is, hey, your credit card has been processed. Thank you. Your gift is going to MyGarden. I've got verbiage that I'm happy to share in a separate slide to you. One other benefit I can offer you all is that if we have people who have not completed their pledges, the system will follow up with them automatically up to 3 times in a very prescribed amount of days that MobileCause assured me in the beginning. Is we've actually done research to figure out when good times are to nudge people to complete. And I will say, yes, the summer conference was made of members who were very engaged. and they actually had 100% fulfillment on that particular campaign. So I don't use that necessarily as your benchmark. Your donors are your donors, and they could be very broad or they could be a very narrow segment. But I was very encouraged by seeing the fulfillment rate. Do donors need to make an account to donate? No, they do not. All they can do is click, fill out a form, and they're done. They do need to supply addresses, and their emails are their phone number or email is part of that capture. We are asking. I am setting it up to make sure you get address capture, because I don't know how broad you want to send your appeal out in your community to receive that information. But I would be remiss in not providing, even though you may have these donors in your system and they're repeat donors, you want their address information in case they're new donors. And in many cases, they will be. Okay. I see if we begin ahead of National Public Gardens Week, we would have to wait until May 31 to get the information. Otherwise, it's a lot of work on our side. Thank you. Yes, Allison, it is a lot of work. It may be a lot of work on our side, but we get all of that information. It's automated in the system. It's a pretty easy capture. We just want to make sure that we are giving our donors time to fulfill their pledges, so that when we do our final reimbursement to you, we've reconciled as much as we possibly can. And there may be during the summer campaign, I had to nudge a few people just to make sure that they were completing their pledge, but or to clarify something. Okay. Okay, so someone asked if the campaign will be activated then at 12 a.m. Sunday, May 12th. I believe the first day of the campaign is Monday, May 13th. So that would be 12 a.m. Monday, May 13th. I won't know I will know when the gifts come in, but I'm making the very concerted effort to try to sync us all up. I would just encourage people to try to honor that. But again, if there's a lot of consensus that you all want to start like the weekend before, that's fine too. You know, if you want to use the momentum of Mother's Day weekend, we can be open to that. We just want to be synchronous in our messaging. So I don't want to state something on behalf of all of our gardens, and know that there are a lot of exceptions and a lot of rogue activity out there. So if that seems like a fair request, then I hope that all of you will think about honoring that and not like kicking it off, several weeks early, or using the whole month to fundraise. Any other questions? Again, you all have the ability to unmute yourselves, so okay. Okay, thank you for additional questions. We already have a MobileCause account. Am I correct in thinking that this would not be at all connected to our account, says Rob. That is one of the challenges we have. Ultimately, we want you to use your account if you have it, or if you have mobile fundraising and you want to sync up with the MyGarden campaign. I highly encourage you to do that. The one thing we can't do is necessarily aggregate, say, through our portal, you can state what your goal is. The system would aggregate the goals and say, my garden campaign is trying to raise $500,000 across the country for gardens. The one thing it won't necessarily do is include your number in that. So I wouldn't let that stop you or any garden from really crafting an appeal that's going to work for them. Ashley Engels Ross asks, what is your recommendation in regards to promoting this method of giving for each garden, email, and social media? Tune in to webinar 3 coming in March. However, I would recommend that if you're curious, MobileCause has some great video on their site that is open to anyone to be able to access some tips and tricks for using the crowdfunding site. So please avail yourselves of that. Don't let me stop you. Don't let March 20th stop you from getting some great ideas. Will the association solicit our donors after this campaign? No. Those are your donors. It's great that they came through our portal, but we want to make sure that the only message they're getting is that they know they're coming through the American Public Gardens Association portal and that you are part of the association. But we would not be soliciting that. Regardless of that, just so you know, we are going through the process of registering in all states because our marketing of this encourages gifts, and the gifts are coming from all over, and states have certain requirements. Even though they're not going to be our donors, we don't intend to solicit them after this campaign, and we usually meet that threshold without necessarily registering. We want to cover our bases and be totally transparent. So you're covered, and presuming you are registered in your own state to charitably solicit, we're all good. Will there be any email notifications through the week when we receive a donation? I would think that, Matt, and you can back me up here, and that is that the team, I believe the team captain gets an email about the activity going on through their page.
Yeah, yes, they'd be able to see that. Plus, each person they could see all the donors on there if that's what they're looking for as well. On there, it has a little thermometer on the facing page for each team or each garden or member. They would have a goal. So if they have a goal of, let's say, $10,000 that they want to raise, it'll show that on there and where they're at within that goal too. Did that answer your question?
Okay. Okay, these are all really great questions. Thank you very much. We are available in between these webinars. I have been kind of co-piloting as people sign up to be team captain, and they are free to contact me with questions in the beginning of the process. You don't have to fly blind. It is pretty intuitive, but please email me at the address that you see on the screen there. And I do encourage you to sign up for the next webinars and also share that if you're still, again, I encourage you to sign up. There is your link, which you can jot down super quick or not, or just wait for this. But the sign up sheet is really about signing yourself up first. When you sign up first, you're letting me know, who's going to get that email address, that you're signing up on behalf of your garden, and I just kind of quickly verify that you are in fact an employee of your garden, and then I have to add your garden on the back end, and then you can, and then I connect you up with your garden, and once that process happens, then you can start to play. And just because, the fact is it's live, but no one knows you're there, so it's not going out to anyone. No one's going to, vicariously trip on it and see it. I like the system because it's been a great opportunity to upload photos, video, and tell your story. And I think the key to the flash campaign is to have a real compelling case and not a genericized case necessarily, because you want that call to action to be urgent, and you want it to be very unique for your garden and something that they grasp that impact very quickly. Did everyone get that? Can everyone see that? Okay. I'm going to toggle over just to see if there are any other questions here. Does APGA have a goal for the 10% cut? Thank you, Kelly. $1 million? No, we're not. We have a goal that we hope that our revenue goal is, our participation goal is that 20 gardens are able to raise $2,000 each. Now, I think that's a really reasonable goal. This is our first year. We're not betting the bank on it. This is not an opportunity to necessarily operationalize us or earn a lot of money off of it. We just feel like there's a cost of doing business for this, and it's a way for us to also seed the Public Gardens Week campaign that we are trying to push out to a greater media. Kelly, was that a good an answer to your question? Are you satisfied with that? All right. These have been very great. I hope we've been able to provide a lot of insight. Again, this is a big overview. I just want to get some general feedback from any of you regarding some of those earlier themes of resilience. Just have people been able to think a little bit about how you might be approaching National Public Gardens Week this year? And I think my ultimate goal is that there is more than just visitor services putting together a promotion for a garden. My larger goal was to have several people within your garden think about how you can leverage this to accomplish multiple benefit for your garden. And coming from a development background, this was a natural thing for me to inspire fundraising during that week. But also, you know, to the extent that you can fit it in with your other spring fundraising, or we know that there's always sometimes there's some overlap or there's conflicts. So this may or may not be the right time to do something with this particular campaign, but it's for many of our gardens something that we just want to create more value added for what you're hoping to get out of that week, whether it's attendance, new audiences, a special focus on a program. But I think this is a great other opportunity to bring more engagement to your community with your garden. Well, with that, I think I'd like to wrap up. I want to thank Matt for being part of the call today and being on call to answer questions. I will be making this available very quickly after this webinar, and I'll be posting in the community as well as to everyone who's registered here. We'll just be getting a follow-up from me on this. So thank you very much. If you think of anything after this webinar, please contact me. I appreciate your time. Good luck. I hope to see lots of sign-ups, and please do reach out to me if you have any questions. Thank you all, and have a great afternoon.